What's up, fellas? Welcome to What's the Catch. Today we're talking bladed jigs and how to choose the right bladed jig for the right scenario. How to put the right fish in the boat with the right bladed jig. Let's get it done. All right, fellas, nothing new. Everybody knows the chatterbait. Standard, it's a standard. Nothing special, everybody, it's been around forever, right? But, you know, for me, and the reason why I want to talk about bladed jigs is because it's not about the chatterbait. There's so many different chatterbaits in the market. And bladed jigs in the market that I've kind of narrowed it down for me as to what type of bladed jig I'm gonna throw in the scenario, in that situation, to target a big fish, a big bite, especially during the spring. Now, these tactics you can apply almost all year round, you know, at least from spring all the way to fall. You can throw a bladed jig the whole year. Now, with these three tactics, you could definitely throw a bladed jig and have that as the only lure in your tackle box. All right, so with the chatterbait, obviously, let's just get this out of the way. You have chatterbaits that are, you know, the jackhammer and the original chatterbait that come with the snap swivel. Those tend to shake, and that's most important with all bladed jigs. The most important thing about bladed jigs is to have the blade start to work when it hits the water. What's the point when you're casting and it gets past the structure and then starts to shake and chatter, right? So that's the key. That's the secret too, is to find a bladed jig that's going to immediately start to do the job right when it hits the water. And in the line of chatterbaits, you got the jackhammer and the original chatterbait, and also I like the chatterbait with it's like, I think it's the free swinging. It has like a line tie like this. You see, it's not a snap swivel, so it's a straight wire kind of thing. But I like those three to choose if I want to get the bait to move right as I skipped it into that structure, because other than that, with a lot of chatterbaits, you got to jerk the rod tip to get that blade to start. And also with the chatterbait is a lot tighter vibration. You want to go with a looser, more aggressive chatterbait, than you go with the freestyle instead of the original or the jackhammer, or go with the big blade, the mega blade, the big bladed chatterbait that they have out. Also, with the chatterbait, you know, I'm always gonna have two. I'm gonna have the hook just without the weed guard. I'm gonna have one with the weed guard. One that I'm throwing around structure with the weed guard. The one I'm throwing around chunk rock and open water and that kind of stuff, and flats and points, I'm throwing the open hook, exposed hook. Also, with the chatterbaits, I'm mainly now this is where the main point of my story, you know, the main point of this whole episode is that for me, I use the chatterbait in deeper water. I don't technically throw the chatterbait when I'm fishing shallow places. I'm gonna throw the chatterbait when I'm working anywhere from 8 to 15 to 20 feet, just because the chatterbait gets down and it cuts through the water. The lift on the blade isn't as much. It doesn't have much lift, so it'll cut through the water a lot better. So this is why with the chatterbait, I'm gonna use this for my lower column of water. Okay, that's what's gonna make me choose the chatterbait. When I'm fishing deeper water lakes, I'm throwing the chatterbait on, and that's what I'm going with first. Okay, so let's just put that let's put that aside with the chatterbait. Let's move on to the next bladed jig. My favorite bladed jig for submersive levels. You know, hitting being able to be so versatile in shallower waters and still getting it down to deeper waters if you want. And that is the Terminator shutterbait. With the Terminator shutterbait, the other thing about this thing is that it's super erratic. It's really erratic. And the blade, look at the big blade. And that's why it's got this super kick. And it's got a lot of lift. So here's the other deal with this thing. The lift keeps it in the strike zone longer. If you start, if you're reeling a chatterbait and you slow it down, it tends to sink quicker. You start to pick up muck, grass or whatever. This one, the shutterbait, Terminator shutterbait, you can keep in the strike zone. And it also, if everybody's throwing a chatterbait on the water, you want to be a little different, right? So you throw the Terminator shutterbait. All right, this is my go-to bladed jig when I'm fishing shallower lakes or I'm going up on flats and points. I want to fish my shutterbait. I'm not going to fish this very low because it's not as effective and efficient as the normal regular standard chatterbait. So, you know, I've caught some of my biggest fish at all my bladed jigs on the shutterbait, the Terminator shutterbait. So, you know, get yourself a shutterbait. And like I said, this is the most important part of this episode, is that, you know, the reason why I'm using these different bladed jigs is to stand out a little different, but also because I'm using them in different water columns. I'm using the chatterbait in deeper water, and when I want to stay deep, I'm using the shutterbait when I want to stay mid-level and kind of be as versatile as possible. Try to touch low, you know, get deep and stay above, and you can also reel a little bit faster and stay just below the surface. That's what's great about the shutterbait. All right, so moving on to the next one. This bait I picked up last year. It's a new bait on the market, past 2 years, I think 2 years, 3 years, maybe less. But this bait is Devis. I haven't been able to catch any 6-pounders yet, but I will. And it's the Teckle Blade Walker bladed jig, right? Weed guard. But here's the thing with this thing is all 3 levels, and it's for shallow water. You can get in the shallowest of shallow water. This almost works as a wake bait. You reel it a little bit faster and it leaves a wake on the top of the water. You slow it down, and now you can extremely soak it, even more than a Terminator shutterbait, in that strike zone. And it's just, you know, you reel a shutterbait, you got to keep it in the same strike zone, you got to reel it a lot faster. It's going faster, right? This one, you just slow it down, and now it's vibrating and sitting there longer, right? A lot easier to bite that one, so, right? So that's why I think this is the bait that you guys need to definitely have in your tackle box. The Teckle Blade Walker. Killer bait, covers all 3 levels of the water column, and I think this bait is gonna do well at night. I can't wait to try this bait at night. All right. So that being said, like I said, with the bladed jigs, the most important thing to the bladed jigs for me is how to choose the right one for the scenario. So that's it. Deeper water columns, I'm going with the standard chatterbait. Always have a red, no matter what, gotta have a red. But always go with the standard chatterbait when you're fishing deeper water. Go with the Terminator shutterbait. You'll be amazed at the fish you catch and what it entices to come out of the shadows. This is the bait that you want to use as a most versatile blade jig, and to keep it in all 3 different water columns. And then next, the new guy on the scene, the Teckle Blade Walker. Get it in your tackle box. If you don't, you're missing out. Put it in there now. Buy it before it's gone. I'm surprised it's not on black order, that kind of stuff. But this guy, see that lift? It's beautiful, man. And it's got a stout hook, you know. So, like I said, bladed jigs, this is how you can fish them all year round, except for in the winter. You know, I honestly, there's another chatterbait they have, a mini chatterbait. I would suggest to try to use that in the winter time. I think that thing could work. But other than that, you know, this is how I apply my my bladed jigs to put quality fish in the boat all year round. All right. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. What's the catch?